So one of the reasons why I didn't do a race review immediately after the Canadian Grand Prix is that one, it was pretty late here at night when the race ended here in the UK. And two as well, there were loads of protests, loads of potential penalties happening for this race. And in the end, there wasn't that many that did get applied. I think Lando Norris, ironically, was one of the only drivers to get a penalty post-race, and he didn't even finish the race. He got a 5-second penalty post-race. Yeah, not sure why the stewards bothered giving him. I suppose it's just the principle of it more than anything. Obviously, getting that 5-second penalty for the incident involving himself and Oscar Piastri's McLaren teammate. Already done a video on that if you guys want to check out my thoughts on that incident. But one of the drivers who was under scrutiny was George Russell, the race winner, and Red Bull put an official protest in to the FIA stewards, which was promptly rejected by them. So Russell manages to keep his first win of 2025. But why did Red Bull protest George Russell? What did he allegedly do? Let's have a dive into what happened here, guys, on the F1 Chronicles website, as always. Mercedes driver George Russell has retained his victory at the Canadian Grand Prix after the race stewards rejected a late protest lodged by Red Bull Racing on Sunday night. The decision came 5.5 hours after the race had finished, confirming Russell's win and championship leader Oscar Piastri's 22-point lead in the standings. Red Bull had protested the result due to 2 alleged infringements by Russell under the safety car, which led the pack home at the end of the race. The team stood to inherit the race win if they succeeded, with Max Verstappen finishing behind Russell. However, the stewards threw out the complaints, deeming them not founded. The protest focused on 2 moments, one where Russell had slammed on the brakes while following the safety car, briefly causing Verstappen to go past him, and another where Russell appeared to have dropped too far behind the safety car, potentially violating the rule that states the lead driver must not be more than 10 car lengths behind the safety car. Red Bull's protest had also included the accusation that Russell had displayed unsportsmanlike intent. Speaking to the media shortly after Verstappen and Russell had met with the stewards, Red Bull boss Christian Horner had suggested the same, saying, "I think you could hear from George's press comments yesterday, his objective was reasonably clear. I don't think there was any surprises with that." Of course, he's referring to George Russell saying that Max Verstappen was 1 point away from a ban on his FIA super license, which is true. It was made relatively tongue-in-cheek, but not everybody took that. Some people did take it personally. Verstappen, though, probably not one of them. He was actually pretty cool, calm, and collected during this Grand Prix. No real kind of aggressive moves at any point, really, from what I could see. Then again, he didn't really have that much to do. It was clear Antonelli behind, and he wasn't really catching Russell in front either, so there is that as well. However, the stewards rejected both accusations. Regarding the heavy braking incident, they stated that Russell braked where he did for 2 reasons. First, to ensure he got a gap to the safety car, and secondly, to keep temperature in his brakes and the tyres. They were satisfied with Russell's insistence that he had not done so to catch Verstappen out, adding that the Mercedes driver was not convinced the race would end behind the safety car and that he was trying to keep heat in his tyres. The stewards also noted that the application of the brakes was at 30 psi, which they deemed to be not severe. As for the complaint about the 10 car lengths rule, the stewards acknowledged that such a situation did happen. The stewards acknowledged that such a situation can happen when a driver hits the brakes at the same time the safety car applies the throttle. The verdict also addressed the other incidents during the safety car period, with several drivers, including first-time podium finisher Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, and Pierre Gasly receiving warnings for passing under the safety car, but no further penalties. The outcome of the protest confirms Piastri's championship lead at 22 points, as the Aussie has stood to gain 3 points if Russell had been demoted below him. Piastri's title rival and teammate Lando Norris had triggered the safety car period by colliding with him with 3 laps remaining in the race. So yeah, I mean, look, they tried, they failed. They have every right to go and protest if they think there is something legitimate there. Yes, it was the case that Russell went 10 car lengths behind. They have admitted that is the case, but it wasn't unnecessarily ridiculous. It wasn't like 15 behind or something like that. So yeah, I mean, Red Bull were always going to try it, especially after the gamesmanship, shall we put it, in the press interviews from George Russell. They wanted to give Russell a taste of his own medicine, but it didn't quite work, and Russell keeps his win. A first win for Mercedes in 2025 after looking so average in Spain after all in retirements in the previous 3 rounds. This is just the tonic they need. And of course, remember, they won at Austria last year. They won at Silverstone last year. Those are the next 2 rounds of the calendar, I do believe. I know Austria is next. So yeah, It's interesting times for sure right now at Mercedes. Could they get that second place in the Constructors' Championship? They're looking pretty good for it at the moment. Russell getting that win on pure pace. No luck in that involved at all. You know, he got pole position, he dominated the race. Absolutely incredible. But your thoughts on this in the comments below, guys. Was Russell lucky to escape a penalty? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below as always. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more like this, guys. And have a fantastic day wherever in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.